what, I don't care what belief it is, but I appreciate a structure of thought that points people in the right direction. And if somebody can use, we've mentioned Christianity a few times. I keep going back to it because it's an interesting beast.
Mm.
If they can use that to better themselves as humans, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. I don't see it leading people to any kind of real deep truth for the most part. It's it has its own limits built into it.
Yes.
Because if you go too deep, then you leave the belief system behind. The belief system doesn't like that. The entity doesn't like that, and it wants to keep people in the box, right? So again, just don't get in the damn box. Stay away from the boxes. Stay away from these pendulums. They don't care whether you swing left or right. The point is to leave the game entirely in the first place and stop playing.
Yeah, yeah, very well said. And yeah, it's tough, and I think in the West, especially, there was a large move towards secularism and atheism, and I do think they threw the baby out with the bathwater, in that, like, most of my friends are agnostic. Like, back home where I used to live, I live in the wilderness now, basically. But before, everyone was agnostic, materialistic, and honestly, I see like that breeds a hedonistic lifestyles of unfulfillment and perpetual discontent. Whereas, a lot of Christian friends and families we have out here, like, they have huge communities of people and they do so much good and they're so helpful and loving and they're raising families and they spot the evil in the world and they resist it, which I like. And so, I give them an A+ gold star, but for me, I'm like, well, I don't think it's all. Then they're like, you're one of us, right? I'm like, I like this and that, I'm like, I'm not sure if it's literally true, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like, I don't think even like thought forms, egregores, elementals, whatever we want to call them, is even inherently bad. Like, this idea we have to be like totally out of every box always, not necessarily the case, but I think it's energizing them is what your book says, right? You don't want to give your energy to them. You don't want to be lost and become like a Borg like entity, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think, like, I agree with you that, a lot of what Christianity, what a lot of Christians now are doing is quite useful in a lot of ways, because they're trying to resurrect, traditional values, and they're actually slowing the progression or the spread of the rot of the really perverted sort of progressive stuff, and they're standing against that, and that's extremely useful. Like, to not, again, they're using a belief structure to resist a different belief structure. What I would say is, take the useful things and use those to inform your stance and inform your actions, and just don't participate in the thing that's perverted and ridiculous and messed up. Like, you don't need to jump into another conceptual box or prison to not be on the side of the Satanists. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean that just because you're not with the Satanists, it doesn't mean that I'm with the born agains. And just because I'm not with the born agains, it doesn't mean I'm with the Satanists. How about we come up a level and rise above the dualistic thinking,